My name is Dirk Pfeiffer. I'm Professor of Veterinary Epidemiology at the Royal Veterinary College in London in the United Kingdom, and I'm a coordinator, or the coordinator, of the RISKSUR project. I would like to provide an overview of the project. With this overview of the RISKSUR project, I would like to first start with a general introduction of the context. And what we are dealing with is we need to think about the reasons why we are engaging in management of risk in the animal health area. And it's useful to remind ourselves of what the various, I guess, aspects are that we have to consider. And usually the most important one in most countries is human health, but then there's also the relevance of trade in animals themselves and animal products. But in addition, there are aspects of animal productivity, animal welfare, and also of conservation of animal species. The relative importance of the different aspects varies between countries, between societies. The ways how we decide on risk management have actually, there are various tools that we have, or various concepts that we use or which we combine in this process. And if we say risk management consists of two components, in that we are attempting to control and prevent diseases, and we conduct surveillance that allows us to take action in the case there is a new disease, that if these two things are being seen as risk management, then there's a role for risk assessment, because we need to think about what are the important mechanisms for introduction of disease, what are the risk factors for disease. So that's the context within which we are conducting surveillance. So moving on to surveillance itself, it is useful to have definitions, and I am using a definition which is actually extracted from the paper by Hoinville et al. From 2013. And it is about a systematic measurement of collection, collation, analysis, interpretation, and timely dissemination of animal health and welfare data from defined populations. Now that can be done using a repeated process, where you're measuring sampling on different occasions, or you may be doing this as a continuous process. The information that's generated by animal health surveillance is being used, and is essential actually, for describing health hazard occurrence and to contribute to planning, implementation, and the evaluation of risk mitigation actions. A surveillance system will always consist of components, and it may be that in instances you actually have only a single component, but in most situations you will have several components that together comprise the surveillance system. And these components may be abattoir surveillance, it may be active surveillance by going onto farms and collecting samples, or it may be so-called passive surveillance, where farmers or others report the occurrence of disease to the authorities. The definitions or the details or the definitions for these terms are available on the website which I've mentioned below. The RISKSUR project has, as its title, it says it's the development and evaluation of scientific methodologies for cost-effective risk-based animal health surveillance. So it combines the terms cost-effectiveness, and it looks at the aspect of risk and how I can take into account variation in risk when I want to design surveillance systems. The team that we've worked with, we had 12 partners from around the European Union, and I won't go through the list of them here. They are on this page presented. And the aims of the project were to develop tools, practical tools, for design and evaluation of efficient risk-based animal health surveillance systems, which can be used by veterinary services within the European Union, but also outside the European Union. When you are conducting surveillance, it's important to have specific objectives, and you can categorize surveillance objectives into three main groups. And one is the early detection of incursion of exotic new emerging and re-emerging diseases, and the other one is declaration of freedom from specified diseases and infections. And finally, you may be aiming at monitoring of endemic diseases for the purpose of finding out whether there are any cases, or detecting cases and then dealing with them, or for the purpose of determining disease frequency. The structure of RISKSUR is as follows. I mean, the first part was that we developed a conceptual evaluation framework, because that was one of the novelties of this project, to take into account the design as well as the evaluation of surveillance systems. And this was done according to the 3 different surveillance objectives that I've mentioned earlier, i.e. detection of disease, and this is the sort of new and emerging disease. Then if I want to demonstrate freedom from disease, and finally if I want to find cases or want to determine disease frequency, i.e. here prevalence estimation. This was then brought together by coming up with some generic design framework, which was and evaluation framework, which allowed the epidemiological and economic evaluation of the epidemiological and economic effectiveness of surveillance systems. And these outputs are to be are such that they should allow decision makers to make an informed judgment about what policies to use. And the project included a whole range of different training and dissemination activities. Now, the project is finished now, and there are various outputs which are presented in this series of web presentations. And firstly, there are the frameworks for design and evaluation of surveillance, and secondly, there are tools, software tools, and information resources which can be accessed via the web. And the RISKSUR webpage is one place where they can be downloaded from, or the link to the relevant pages can be obtained from. It is important to, I guess, during the phase that, I mean, after the project now with these tools available, that one needs to keep in mind what are they useful for. And one particular emphasis is the educational purpose. I mean, for education within, could be within undergraduate training of veterinarians, or it could be specialized, more specialized training of those which work in veterinary services in the design of surveillance programs, but even those which are involved in surveillance. If it is about for people which are designing the systems, they provide a really unique opportunity to have a guided and system that or tool that provides state-of-the-art background information, but also leads to the process of surveillance design and evaluation. And finally, I mean, the way how the tool and the spreadsheets provide a standardized way of going through the process, they also allow the documentation of how one had arrived at a particular design and this evaluation conclusion. So this was just a very quick overview of the RISKSUR activities and outputs, and the different video presentations which are available from this website will provide more detailed information on each of those aspects. And if there are any questions, I'm very happy to provide further information or links or suggestions in terms of who to talk to, and my email address is on this slide. Thank you very much.